Alright, I've got a new report I want to share with you guys. As you know, the name of my channel is Bigfoot and More, and this report will definitely fall under the more part of the title. And this comes in from a subscriber named Jack. He said it's okay to use his first name, about a strange thing he saw outside of his house in northeast Oklahoma. This is not a Bigfoot, or at least I don't think it is. But anyway, if you guys are familiar with David Paulides and the Missing 411 series, this is something that was reported by a lady to him as well, and it inspired this gentleman to come forward with this report. So that being said, I'll jump right to it. And it's looking like it's going to start raining anytime, so I'll try to get it done before that hits. So he says, "Hey Dave, hope y'all are doing well down in your neck of the woods. I just watched your new video, Shape-Shifting Cryptid Observed Crossing Road, and with extreme hesitancy, I want to divulge what happened to me last July. As you know, I live in northeast Oklahoma, and I'll leave the town out of it, basically due east of Tulsa. He said, I live up on a 250-foot ridge line that overlooks our community. We have a wooded acre lot with a several hundred acre green belt butting up against our property. This green belt is owned by the Cherokee tribe and is virgin woods. We have deer, fox, raccoon, etc. that wander through our property on a regular basis. Though this green belt is still wild, we have other homes on either side of us. Since all of our lots are wooded, there is a good amount of privacy between our properties. All of this detail may seem like overkill, but he says, I'm trying to set the scene up for you. So he goes on to say, last July, when the woods were thick and everything was lush and green, I went into the master bathroom to take a leak, and he said, as I was standing there, he said, I was looking out the window that is directly above the toilet. Some 40 feet from this window is a relatively large oak tree, approximately 40 to 50 foot tall. He says, our house is built on a slope, so this window is about 15 to 20 feet off the ground. He said, my eyes were drawn to one of the branches about halfway up, 20 feet or so, and even in height with the bathroom window. Sitting on a large branch was a pixelated mass, quote, no distinct definition, just a mass. And he said, I'm staring at this thing, and the hair on the back of my neck and arm stands up. Though there is no face that he can see, he said, I feel it looking at me. He said, it knew that I was there. He said, I then took off my glasses just to check for smudges, and he said he found none there. He said, I then looked at the window glass for smudges. There was none there. He said, I rubbed my eyes to try and clear them and looked back, and it's still there on that branch. He said, I stood there for at least 10 minutes watching to see if this thing would move, and it did not even twitch. My mind was racing 100 miles per hour, and my heart was about to beat out of my chest. I was in the house, so I felt some sense of security, but I also felt very vulnerable. My mind immediately went to the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Predator. If you've seen the movie, then you'll remember when the Predator is pixelated and moving through the trees, hunting the team members. And he said that's what it reminded me of, but he said it just didn't have a specific shape. It was just that large pixelated mass on the limb. He said, a million thoughts were going through my head of what this thing was and if I'm really even seeing it. Am I imagining this, is what he asked himself. As all of this is happening, he said the doorbell rang. He said I was hesitant to leave the window, but he said their dog was raising Cain, quote. He said I ran to the door only to find an Amazon package sitting there. He said I left it there and ran back into the master bathroom. And he said I looked out the window and whatever it was then gone. He said this bothered me for weeks. He said, I mean, it truly bothered me. He said I couldn't think of anything else. He said I was fixated on trying to grasp what I saw. He said then one night in October, my wife and I watched Dave Paulides' Missing 411, The Hunted. And if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. That'll make you be very aware when you're in the woods, to say the least. It's not, there's some things about Bigfoot on it, but not all. It's just some weird disappearances and stuff in the woods. But I highly recommend you watch that if you haven't already. He said at the end of the show, there was a woman who told a story about what she saw while she was deer hunting. And I have seen this episode, so I know what he's talking about. He said, I almost fell out of my chair and I got very emotional. He said, of course, my wife was asking me what's the matter and if I'm okay. She thought something was wrong. That's when I told her what I saw in our backyard. She knows I believe that there's such a thing as Bigfoot, but for some reason I just could not tell her or anyone else what I saw out the bathroom window. I told her that I'd seen a pixelated mass, just like the lady deer hunter on Dave's show, Dave Politis that is, had just described. And after telling her that, he said it felt like a ton of weight had been lifted off my chest. I assume it's the same feeling people have when they see a Bigfoot. It is life-changing. The lady deer hunter described a mass that moved from tree to tree, but what I saw did not move at all. It was stationary until I left the window to go to the door. I don't know if it vanished, if it flew away, or if it dissolved into the air or what, but it did in fact leave the tree in some manner. Since I told my wife, I've opened up about it and told a few family members, and I told my best friend. No one seems to doubt me, as they know that I am a straight shooter and I'm not one to fabricate things. In fact, I'm extremely black and white. There's very little room for gray in my world except now. Now I think that there is way more to know and understand than what I was taught in school, and that's an understatement. I agree 100%. I'm a veteran of 2 branches with boots on the ground in a dozen countries. I'm an aerospace professional with a master's degree. I don't do drugs, nor am I on psychiatric meds. I'm a normal, sane, educated professional and a logical thinker. Yet I saw something that absolutely rattled my cage. As I've told you previously about my trips to the Kiamichi Mountains, I've had some weird things happen down there, but I've never actually seen anything weird down there. Something down there clacked the rocks around our camp, and something screamed, roared, howled at us, and we feel like we may have experienced infrasound when all the critters in the woods went dead silent, but none of those things compared to what I saw in my own backyard. I may never know what I saw, but it is burned into my memory like a branding iron. I'm so happy to hear you tell this woman and her son's story, because it gives me more validation to what I saw. Thanks for bringing all of these stories to light. As I said earlier, I believe there is way more to our planet than what we think we know, and certainly more than what we've been taught. And I will have to reiterate on that again. I agree 100%. There is a lot more out there than what we may think there is, as these reports similar to this come into me, as well as Bigfoot and other cryptid type reports. So there are more things in heaven and earth, as Shakespeare said. He says, Dave, I wouldn't mind at all if you share the story, and I appreciate you letting me share it. I'd love to know if anyone else has had a similar sighting. My only request is that you don't mention my location specifically. Just mention that I'm located in northeast Oklahoma in a Tulsa suburb. Using my first name is perfectly fine, and his first name is Jack. And Jack, again, I appreciate you sharing this report with me. And to you watching this, if you know of any similar report to this in that area, or any other area for that matter, of anything similar to this being seen, I would really like to hear about it. And if you would like to report a sighting like this, or something you've heard about this, then just send me an email at bigfootandmore@yahoo.com. That's bigfootandmore@yahoo.com. Be glad to take a look at it and even share it on this channel if you would like me to. Now, first raindrops are starting to fall, so I'll finish just in time. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to this channel to see more reports like this. Going forward, it's 1st of March right now, So coming up very soon, I'll be doing some camp trips down into the Kiamichi Mountains, looking for more evidence of the Bigfoot that's down there. Bigfoot plural, I'll say that. So with that, rain's starting to come down, so thanks for watching, and until next time, you guys take care.